This video will show the install process of the Jimny Wild No-Drill Snorkel. If you've ever had to install a conventional snorkel on your Jimny, you would have experienced the anxiety and nightmares of trying to drill holes into the sheet metal of your precious Jimny. You'll certainly appreciate the appeal of this snorkel. The kit arrived from Jimny Wild well packaged with the plastic no-drill snorkel, stainless steel airflow pipe that is powder coated satin black with 4-ply silicone custom end pipes and stainless steel hardware, including the required items to do the install. These are the tools we use to complete the install. Supplied with a kit is a set of Allen keys. You would also need a ratchet with short extension and size 7, 10 and 12 sockets, a flathead screwdriver or some trim tools, and lastly we always find a piece of cloth or leather handy to protect the painted panels. Today we're going to show you how to do the install of the Jimny Wild No-Drill Snorkel. We'll have to remove some of these panels, but otherwise what we'll do is we'll take you through the installation step by step. So the first thing that we're going to do is remove this gas strut. This might not be the same scenario for everybody, but in our case we need to remove this to be able to fit the new snorkel. So the next thing we're going to do is remove these covers from the windscreen wipers. That'll allow us to remove the windscreen wipers. If you can, see if you can get yourself some of the trim tools. They come in very handy. To remove this nut, you're going to use a 12 socket. So when you remove your wiper, just lift it carefully and gently wiggle it and carefully pull it off. After we've removed the windscreen wipers, our next step will be to remove these little plugs, and that'll allow us to then unclip the plenum on the sides and move that forward. We're also going to unplug some of the piping for the sprayers. So what you can do is you can use a screwdriver. I'm just using a little piece of leather here, and all you do is unclip the clips. I'm using the leather just to protect it in case this jumps up. What you'll do is just pull up lightly and use your prying tool on the side just to unclip that. And the same on the other side. Unclip the little clips. What we're going to do is, and maybe just get somebody to help you so that you don't scratch the underside here, just carefully manipulate this out, and the same on the other side, and just move the plenum cover out the way, and that'll expose the bolt and the little fixing clip. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a 10mm socket and carefully undo the bolt. And we're also going to undo the clip. The next step is to remove the screw on the inside of the door. And once you've removed the actual panel, you can just place a screw back in again. So now that we've removed the screw on the inside of the door, what I'm going to do is just protect this with a little bit of leather again. Now, underneath here there are clips. So you can pull this off. Pull that off. You need to be careful when you remove this and it just unclips, because you'll see you've got these little clips that clip into these little clips over here, and the same at the back as well. The next step is to remove the screws and this bracket. Then you can pry the bracket out like that. So before fitting the snorkel, one should remember to remove this bolt on the side as well. Okay, the next step to complete is to attach the bracket to the snorkel. So to help support the snorkel, we've got two of these little rubbers. One will go in the back and the other will go in the front. So when we position the snorkel, before we do that, we need to undo the bonnet hinge bolts. That'll allow us to get the snorkel past the bonnet hinge. You'll use a number 12 socket for that. Get a friend to help support the bonnet when you remove that. So once you've positioned it, you can just re-bolt again. So as you can see, the hinge fits quite neatly underneath here. And our next step is going to be to mount the snorkel to the vehicle itself with a bracket and the holes down here. Just to protect the A-pillar is just put in a soft EPDM spacer. You can also use felt if you've got that available. And I'm going to apply it close to the top, and that'll help us space a lot neater. The next step would be to put the bolts in. We'll use the spring washer, the washer, and the longer black bolt. So what we're going to do is we're just going to replace the hardware that we took out when we removed the panel. So this will go back in and then push that down and your bolt goes in, and we'll fasten that with number 10. Once you've positioned and installed your snorkel, you'll reinstall your plenum cover, reverse the process that you did previously. That's all in nicely. Yeah, we can. And then we just replace our wipers. And once again a number 12 to tighten, and put the cover back on again. We're just replacing the screw that held the panel before. So the next step is to remove the existing airflow pipe. Thereafter we'll install the new stainless steel coated pipe. We'll use the number 10 socket to remove these. You can then carefully pry this off The next step is to position the airflow pipe, or your new airflow pipe, and we're going to do it over here and then over there. So when you install this pipe, ensure that you first loosen both clamps on the one end and the other end. This will help you position this a lot better. Once you've done that, you position the pipe with the silicone couplers in place and just adjust the fasteners so that you can get to them quite easily. So once you've positioned your pipe, it's important that you don't tighten any of these clamps yet. The install process indicates that you need to first tighten this clamp onto your airbox, thereafter this clamp onto your snorkel. What's important is to keep these clamps to the actual pipe loose for now, because you want to adjust your pipe to give sufficient gap close to your reservoir underneath, and by your aircon pipe you want sufficient gap. So you don't want, while you're idling or going over undulations, your air pipe to touch the aircon pipe or touch the reservoir itself. It's also important that you ensure that the pipe clears your reservoir lid, and thereafter, once you've adjusted your pipe, you start tightening this clamp and this clamp, and then you should have sufficient clearance throughout. Once you've fastened these clamps, we would suggest that you close the bonnet and start the car with your foot on the brake. If you do get any knocks, it might be from this area knocking or from this area knocking underneath your bonnet. We would then suggest loosening these clamps again and slightly readjusting accordingly. Something else to look out for is your silicone pipe needs to clear the brake reservoir tank over here. We hope this video helps you in getting your no-drill snorkel installed. If you want to see more of our videos, please like and subscribe.